send it out in healing, something like that, that would get it out of their field enough to where they could possibly harmonize. They'll have a better time as Earth goes into the Merkaba phase here, because the Earth's vibration is raising, which means it's going to be a more comfortable environment for them, because it's getting closer up to their vibration. So the indigos are here. They are of the Paradisian race strand, and they're here to help, even though right now it's very chaotic for them and anybody who happens to be trying to raise one. It can need a sedative to be a parent of an indigo, because it's frustrating for both of you. Okay, I'm going to take some from this side of the room, because I've been over there quite a bit.
In the meditation that Phil gave us, there were three symbols. Are they considering them horizontal, going out, putting our field? Or is this without the square?
I asked about that, because I have a certain way of visualizing things, as if they're inside me standing upright, like if that was transposed inside me this way. I didn't get it this way.
That's how I saw it.
And I asked about that, and they said, whatever comes natural is what you need to do with it. So if you have to put it one way, that's the orientation of your consciousness within the body, and to do it that way. So it's good, because I don't see it laying flat. And I think Phil saw it laying flat down, where I saw it standing up this way. Use what comes natural with the visualizations. The first impression is usually the right one. Your higher identity knows how to translate it for you. So I would do this or that.
Our field is spherical, so therefore it can work both ways.
There is a plane of energy that comes out of this area down here that you can modulate like this. It goes up and down. It is a disc that runs through this way. And that might be why, some people see it laying down there like the disc. But there's also a vertical level to that. So you can use either one. Either one will trigger the activation of something they're trying to release, to give them calculus, it's going faster to release the phase law.
What if you wrap it around the whole field?
What if you wrap the symbol around your whole field like wrapping paper? Well, if it's the place where you're supposed to push it out into your field, that's fine. You let your creative self and your inner self and your higher self take the symbols where they need to go. I've learned that. I've gotten in some really wild debates with some people. Well, this doesn't make sense. It has to be this way. Do they mean this, or this? What do you think it means? Use that, and it solves the argument, because the inner self knows how to translate it. Okay, if you're using a symbol a little differently than me, it could be because your energy system is different than my energy system, and that's the way it works better in yours. So you got to trust your inner guidance when you're using the symbols in the Keylanthic exercises. Yes?
Could you expand a little bit on spiritual evolution has biological consequences? What does that mean?
So is it bad? It's a good one. Spiritual evolution has biological consequences. What it means is, as we integrate, now spiritual evolution, what is it? It's pulling in the group bodies. This has biological consequences, because as we progressively do that, higher DNA strands activate. And as higher DNA strands activate, our matter particle body becomes less and less dense until it's no longer in this harmonic universe and it's in the next one. So the biological consequences of spiritual evolution is the transmutation of cellular form that comes from integration of the higher identity. Does that answer your question?
So if you continue that, you will no longer be here unless you take your body with you.
You won't be visible.
You won't be visible.
Well, if you went into full quadro phase, you would be able to. There's an interesting thing about quadro phase and holophase Merkaba. If you build your light body by integrating your Huva bodies, you will enter Merkaba. If you enter the holophase Merkaba, it creates a condition of the form constant, which is the you inside it, by locating one here and one in the future time fields of Tara. When you're able to enter quadro, that tri-pyramidal shape, where you have three pyramids of energy locked together, that's when you disappear from harmonic universe 1 and turn totally into light and reappear in harmonic universe 2. So it's not just a process of just simply raise my vibration and pop up someplace else. There's a lot of mechanics involved with it, But the biological consequences of the whole thing are your cells will transmutate. You will move from a carbon-based biology into a silica-based biology, with a step in between in harmonic 2, a carbon-silica-based biology. And that would be that less dense form that I mentioned before. Is that?
You got it down there.
Students are opening on the higher stage? No. Depending on how high you go compared to whatever the world is. Because if you hit a certain point, when you raise your vibrations that are so far below you are no longer perceived at all, so you perceive darkness. And if you're dealing with something where the vibration is much higher, you see it as light, even though there's form taking place within that light, you don't see the form. From a higher, the ones from a higher harmonic? In other words, how good if you could just simply put that with from there, what is this one? Right? It looks like it's a little dot of higher letters, which is kind of interesting. And there's a lot of information in those packages. I would suggest that anybody who's really interested in exploring Keylontic science technique, get one of the packages. It will be about probably 2 years before the books with this information come out. That's why we do the information packages, because the material that's presented in these presentations is the newest stuff that's been given to me. So it takes a publisher about 2 years to get a book out. So I didn't want to hold the information for 2 years because some of it's very timely. So the information packages are books being born. So you feel something that has shifted. I would like to give you something, but I need to be able to understand what you need. Now, I think I'm going to try to solve that dilemma for myself by just taking a little bit question-answer period and ask you a question. In response to the information that I have provided for you, what do you think is the most valuable part of this? Is there something in there that you can use? And if not, how can I present it in a way that you can connect with? Because there's a lot of power in the belief system that we've been given here. And it's one thing to be walking around and feeling that power. It took me 27 years to get to the point where I could really grasp the significance of some of this material. And it took a lot of awakening to get to the point where that significance became real to me. I would like to help everybody in this room take a step into significance where the material somehow is able to touch you. So I think I will just ask if there's anybody that would like to offer some suggestions on how this material, what you just learned today, the knowledge you learned, can you use it? And is there something I can do with it that would help you to be able to use it better? So I'd like to start with that, and we'll kind of flip the question and answers back around this way. I'll ask the questions for a little bit, and you can give me some answers so I can figure out how best to serve you with this information. I see one hand. Okay.
I think the medications are very important.
Yes.
I think they should be available on tape with a page with the symbols, if there are for any medication.
Right.
And some introduction to the medication, and then the one thing maybe music in the background. Done, more controlled environment.
Yes.
So no sound or extraneous sound that's clean.
Yes, I agree with that very much.
From the beginning, from all the steps,
Right.
where they begin to.
Great.
progression, so I think we should address it.
We're in the process of putting together a cassette tape program that will have some written material with it that can be offered. Because a lot of this material is very powerful stuff. If you can take it home and do it where you're not distracted. And group settings, particularly when there's, hooting and hollering going on in the next room, it's a little distracting to focus, and it requires focus. So we are doing that. It's just a matter of there's only one of me and I need phones right now. Because, even before this presentation, I was up all night making that chart pack for today. I got done at 7 o'clock this morning, and then we had to drive up here from New Jersey, and we got stuck over at Kinko's. But it's a matter of timing, that's all. The tape cassettes are coming, because Stellantic Science is a very powerful tool. It's just needing the right framework to use that tool within, and I agree with you. That's a very good suggestion, the tape cassette programs, and they are coming. And as soon as we get them available, I'll let you know they're available so you can start working with it. Okay.
Two things that might help you. One is if you would go over the breathing for the next machines, because usually done when it's not as long. And if we could do another technique sometimes,
I agree with that. She feels that do some more technique because sometimes the experience shifts you more than the words can. And I agree with that. That's one of the things I want to do. There's a couple of kind of pet journeys that they have taken me on in order to shift me. And I plan to do one of those before we go. I believe we're probably going to do the Blue Flame of the Mente one, which is a very powerful meditation where you go into the blue flame. The blue flame symbolizes the core of the fifth dimensional frequencies, which of course is the place where your archetype consciousness resides. And it's a place where you can go for many different things. And that's one of the techniques that I found very valuable, especially when I get overwhelmed and exhausted, which often happens when I'm processing information at this level. I would go into this particular exercise just for comfort, just to block all of it out. And no matter where you work or what your job is, everybody gets that feeling sometimes, where you just want to go in and block it all out and make it all go away. And I have found that the blue flame technique is very, very useful for that. So before I release that, I would like to share that with you and try to take you on a journey into the blue flame with me. And I believe Enoch is going to help me with this one. So where we might end up with that, who knows? They do this with me sometimes, or spontaneously we will, they will be taken on the course of higher evolution with their agendas in relation to what the group needs. Okay, let's see.
I tend to be a type of person who needs clarity in definition. And these are words that start off with very complicated. I've never heard it before. So, I still don't know what morphogenetic means. And I know when you go into your experiences with all of this, you're explaining it in an elongated way. But if you could give me a short, stop, abbreviated glossary, glossary on these terms, and I agree that the elongated versions of the books and so forth, I will already know what it is.
I agree. When we were putting the book together, in fact, this was another one of those horrid crash course deadline things. I was doing drafts a day and a half before the whole package was being sent to the printer because the publisher had my drafts messed up all over the place. So it was a time factor. It seems like since I've gotten involved with producing the Guardian material for a public release, I have not quite yet caught up with myself. I'm constantly running to catch me so I can just stand still for a few minutes. So the glossary is needed in the book, and I wanted to put, we're even thinking about doing a separate, smaller book, a dictionary of terms, because there's so many terms offered in this material. And I would do that with them. When they give me these new words, I'm like, what is that? And they would give me a definition. So there are definitions for these words that make sense, but I agree that would be very useful. A morphogenetic field, by the way, the easiest way to understand it is a blueprint or a template. And it's made out of crystalline units of energy. So it's a crystal body.
That's the one hurt.
Maybe you can give that away. Give that away for your students to do their terms.
That would be wonderful if I had somebody that would care enough to do that. I have 10 more books that I'm commissioned to do. Yeah. I'm really hoping it's not at the rate that they've been pumping it through, because this material is just like coming through, and I don't even get a chance to sit down and watch its initial. But if there's any writers out there that want to analyze Voyagers to death and do some dictionary of terms type things, go for it. You know, my publisher might even publish it for you. You know? Okay, I'm working my way over here.
Just because you mentioned earlier Flower of Life, is there any other areas where there's convergence of some of this material? Like when you mentioned morphogenetic fields, does that converge with Sheldrake's work or not? And I don't know if you're familiar with that. But that's how I first heard the term, morphogenetic. He's like a physicist, and he's talked about these morphogenetic fields. But where there's any convergence, you know, with anything you're familiar with, just to let us know, you know, just as you speak, you know, if there's some other tradition or book that mentions like the Indigo children, like you mentioned that, just to keep doing that. That's really helpful because then it helps us create a gestalt of material.
Yeah, that's a good point, showing where it plugs into other things that are already out there that people may have a handle on. There are a couple of real correlations. I find that, now I don't know the man personally, and I don't know his work extensively. I haven't taken the Flower Life courses, but I do know with Dremel and Melchizedek, he is producing material that's very, very similar. And it goes in a different direction, but there's a lot of similarities there, and even when it gets into the history, there seems to be a lot of similarities. And I had never read his books, so it was a very, you know, it was an organic, wow, there's similarities there. Another one, and I have a tremendous resonance with this one, and I met the person but not had any initial conversations, was J.J. Hartog. But I will probably be partial.
J.J. Hartog.
J.J. Hartog in the case of Enoch. Okay, now if you think my stuff's hard to read, you should try this. It's a wonderfully inspired piece of work, created through the mind of a scientist. And I'm just a layman, I'm not a scientist, so you can imagine the sophistication of that material. But that book is wonderful, and Mr. Hartog's work is really wonderful. And I feel that way because I trust it, because it's about Enoch, and I work with Enoch right now. So I've known Enoch since I was probably about 9. I had my first encounter with this being. And he's Rishi level and beyond, because he'll manifest. That's what it feels like, manifesting to interact with you. But there are other similarities there. I've had a number of people, now I'm not well read, simply in other things out here, because I don't have time to read. You know? We're too busy taking it down, and I'm too busy studying with them to learn the material. But people have said that with various physicists and things like that there's a lot of correlation. When we got into the particles, the particle, particane, particum, they were terms that were organic to us as far as I knew. But there's a physicist in Washington State who says, oh my gosh, we're working with the particum, but we didn't know about the particane and the particae. You know? And it's like, well, you'll never understand the particum if you don't understand the other two parts. So there's correlations that are popping up all over the place. And it's only my own naivete to what is out there, because I haven't had time to investigate it. I need somebody to just research that kind of stuff. But I will try to make reference to commonly understood things. Another one that I resonate a bit with is the Seth material by Jane Roberts. There are a lot of concepts that have been presented in that material that jive very well with what's being presented, in Voyagers. So I think there's a lot of correlations. Even I think Alice Bailey's books plug into it. I think they all plug into it, really. Anybody that's dealing with anything from Ascended Masters to ETs and anywhere in between can, plug into the Amente work, because we're pulling from the same sources of information. Okay, you have a question back here?
No, I was going to mention another reference that gets very specific. There's a man named Stan Tenen, who's a physicist, and he has a thing called the Mayru Foundation, and he goes into the fire letters that you talk about.
Right.
And in fact, Drumelo Melchizedek even refers to him as a forerunner to what he was doing. So, if you want to, he has some videotapes that go into detail on the origin of the Hebrew letters, all kinds of things like that. Stan Tenen.
Right, Stan Tenen.
We had Stan Tenen here last June. We're going to get him back. Yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah. Just remember.
Oh yeah,
Just remember.
Plus 2 spheres added. They correspond to the 2 strands of DNA that were on the plug. from the races during the time when that was.
Just remember the original teachings
So,
of...
big correlation.
Have you heard about
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Raphael, the original teachings of divine science, the book was called the Dora Torah. Dora for Torah for the Taurian incarnate identity in Harmonic Universe 1, Dora for the soul identity. The book, the legendary book of divine science was called the Dora Torah. All we got was the Torah. That's another lecture. Yeah. Woo! That's the truth.
Okay, is there anybody else that, you're waiting a while here?
I think probably most of you know that the cover of the book is a drawing by you.
I don't know.
Trust me, by Hannah. Yeah, I don't know if everybody knows he's an artist. Some pictures would tell some words, or you know, I mean, you know, the focus of what you're saying and everything.
I have wanted to take personally my work into the art because there's a lot of things that can be shown that don't have to be said. But I don't even have time to do my laundry these days. Or yes, take out my paintbrush. It's really a scheduling problem. I don't think we were prepared when we kind of introduced everything at the expo that it would grow so quickly. And it just went boom. And I'm kind of like going, I haven't thought of it myself yet, so I take a breather. So I would love to go back into the artwork at some point. I hope to. They were teaching me, speaking of artwork, they were teaching me some very interesting things. There's a form of art that they call resonance alignment imagery. And it's based upon the concept of chemoleptic science and understanding that anything that an artist creates or a person creates has part of their energy signature imbued within. Now, with resonance alignment imagery, they take your consciousness, they take you and mentally bilocate you. It's a little different than astral projection. There's more of your conscious mind that goes with you. It's not that kind of full shift. It's a half step in between. They call it mental bilocation. And working with some of the guardian guides, they will take you to future time on different spots in Tara, and there are meeting places. And by your consciousness going there, it sets up a bridge of frequency between that time zone and this time zone. So when you come back, you now have imbued within your morphogenetic field a frequency pattern that belongs to a specific time-space coordinate in the future. Now, when you take that and you create a piece of art with that, and what they've had me do is the scene that I saw when I was there, paint that. They said it's not just a painting. That frequency bridge is incorporated into you because your consciousness went there, is also incorporated into the artwork. So they have some ideas at some point, I don't know when they're going to do this, but where they're going to train me how to train artists how to do this, so they can create pieces of art that look like art on the wall, but for one, you can use them to project through. For two, they are projecting here. What they are doing is serving as like a wormhole through which the energy from that future space-time can move into here. And through this, by linking the future with our present, they can guide those shields into proper merger, so we end up in the right probable future rather than the one that we don't want to see. So there's some very interesting techniques that they're moving into that I just haven't had time to process. I've done a few of those, the resonance alignment imagery. The book cover is one of them. That was done following an experience I had with the blue flame. When I went into the blue flame through one of my DNA level activations when my ninth strand was actually activated. And they moved me through the fifth dimensional frequencies and up the scale. And the part I remembered most was the blue flame. I felt like my body got sucked out of this body, and I was more awake and aware in that body than I ever had been here. And I was surrounded by this living blue flame that was conscious. It was an entity, a being, and I could talk to it, and it would give me answers. And it was a space, it was like a feeling of being in prison for 1,000,000 years, and all of a sudden somebody opens the door, and you step out, and you find a beautiful world with wonderful sunsets and oceans and green grass, and it's just like, wow, that's the feeling when you start to move into your higher identity. Now, that really symbolizes integrating the archetype, because the frequency patterns for D5 go in the blue spectrum. They have the whole spectrum of color, but the primary dominant, what they call a capstone color, would be blue, that particular kind of electric blue that's in there. So the artwork can be a powerful tool. Those little books kind of like radiate energy at you. and they said when it's reprinted, it won't come through unless the creator of it, or someone who has permission to do so, reactivates it in the pattern. It's something that's held in the original, because that is what the creator had touched and had put his energy into, and it will only reproduce if it's told. So maybe in 5 years we'll be giving some really strange genetic science art classes. Yeah. Okay.
2 questions. Are you going to ask us about our rishis ever? And the other one is, I was extremely interested in what you had to say in our last workshop about the word and how important the word is, which corresponds and correlates beautifully with what you just said about painting and colors and resonance. And I've had the experience myself of, I guess you could call it spontaneous combustion. That's a joke, but with reading your books, it just seems as though I've been shot up into the universe. I think it's a lot of the words, and because I respond very deeply to what's being written. But I also believe, as you have stated, that a single word that is felt and understood for what it really means is extremely powerful, or 3 words, whatever. Would you like to comment about that too?
It's probably something I would like to comment on, as far as the words in those books. The words are one thing, and the frequencies within them and behind them are another. The Mente book is a 5th dimensional transmission. It has encoded within sound tones the wording of the language that's used. Frequency is at the 5th dimensional level. That will trigger aspects of your 5th DNA strand. So you can start bringing in your 5th dimensional consciousness, which is the archetype. So the words, in this case, it's not just the words that are important, but the way they're combined creates activations of awareness and DNA through the reading of it. So it's kind of like it looks like a book on the outside, but it's really a frequency amplifier in the form of a book, that kind of thing. As far as commenting on asking people about the rishis, that was kind of more, I don't know who was here and who wasn't for those groups, so I didn't want to bring that into a group, into a mixed group of people who have no idea what that means. And I didn't also want to put people who were part of the Meet Your Rishi experience, I didn't want to put them on the spot and embarrass them in front of other people who might think that's silly or something. You know what I mean? So I just haven't addressed it for that reason. It was more of a smaller group of people
You
that
could
was
do it
done.
on a volunteer basis, so you might hear some very interesting things.
Okay. How many people were in part of the workshop where we did the Meet Your Rishi thing? Oh, quite a few. Okay. Has anybody had any type of interesting experiences yet with the presence of the Rishi? Yeah. They do. If you ask, you tend to get it very, very rapidly. Yeah, that's good. You? Are you really? Somebody else said you had that happen. The name keeps popping up all over the place. I never even heard it before this, Oh, that's funny. It's letting you know it's there. Hello, I'm here again. Yeah. They call that a waking dream, where on the higher levels the symbology is projected out here, where you run into it and go, that's a little strange, because you know that it's a message from a higher level. Yeah. Yeah, that's cute.
Well, since it's getting late, I would like to do the blue flame and...
Okay, we can do that.
I wasn't at any of the other workshops. Is the Rishi, is that a group of guys?
Oh, sure. Okay. Yes, it's brought up. Yeah. Okay, when we got into the diagrams of the Huba bodies and the levels of higher dimensional identity that corresponded to those Huba bodies, there was the Rishi level of identity that corresponds to harmonic 5. Rishi are beings, some of them are connected to us, some are from other families of consciousness, that are in the 13th, 14th, and 15th dimensional levels. And they are in the form of waveform. That is what they really look like. Now, when they manifest to us, they tend to look like these quite tall light beings with slightly elongated heads. And they emanate light so strongly that you can hardly see the details. And so the Rishi are presences, and they're very real. Now, we spontaneously went into a Meet Your Rishi section in one of the workshops because Enoch whispered in my ear and said, let's do this. You know, and I said, oh, okay. So we were connected with a Rishi that would serve to hang around with our energy and communicate with us and try to help us open the lines of communication. So the Rishis are the higher dimensionals they're meta-terrestrial. They're not ultra-terrestrial, which would be in the energy matrix. They're still in the time matrix, but they're meta-terrestrial, the highest meta-terrestrial level. And they are helping, evolution of all sorts of beings in different star systems. What we can do in the blue flame meditation is we can pull that into, we've done this before in the private groups, we've gone into the blue flame and used that as a platform to meet the Rishi. So if there's anybody that wants to have an encounter with a Rishi, they're the Melchizedek Rishis that we work with. They're out of the Melchizedek Cloister family, and they're a family of consciousness. I work out of the Azurite Council of the Rock Confederacy, which is one of the Cloister families in Melchizedek. And most of the Rishis that are involved with the work that we're doing are part of that cloister also. So we can go in, and when we go into this meditation, which is quite simple, and it's going to get taken in a direction that I won't know until we get out of it, thanks to Enoch. You simply end up inside of this blue flame, in the halls of Amentet. Because all this is taking place in the halls of Amentet, which is in the Earth's core, or the access to it is in the Earth's core. And from that space, you can create a platform to do a lot of things. You can just clear space, you can work on healing, and you can meet Rishis in that space too. So we'll try to tie that in for any, into the meditation for anybody who wants to attempt to do that. You can also simply request that. I mean, by your being here in the room, everybody's energy field is affecting everybody else's energy field. So the beings that are connected to my energy field are connecting and touching your energy fields through mine. Because of that, they are aware of you. So if any of you decide that, hey, I want contact or help me open to Rishi communication, that will be heard because my field serves as a conduit. Now they are aware of you and know your signature, and they will hear them. It will be a form of energy sent back to them, not words. And they will work with your higher identity levels to do what's next and appropriate for you. So you don't need me to find your Rishis, and you don't need me to get hooked up with a Rishi, though sometimes it can help because they can pull down through my field because Enoch is in my field. Okay? So I think for this meditation, for the final meditation, sure. Oh, okay. Backtrack as you did. All right, we're just doing. She would like to recap on the shield breathing. The technique. It's a very simple technique. You just breathe upward, up over your head. You'll point about 36 inches up over your head, and that would be the 14th chakra. Breathe up, and then breathe down, all the way down through the base chakra and through the 12th chakra that's at 6 inches below the feet. And keep breathing that exhale down until you hit earth core. You visualize hitting the earth core. At that point, you stop and you inhale energy again, hold it for a moment, and then breathe it out into the image of what you would imagine the shield to look like. And you can look at it as this beautiful shield. It's like a disc-shaped shield that's within the Earth's core and spins around the side of it. So you just up, down to Earth's core, stop, breathe in, and into the shield. And that you've given a gift of energy to the shield in doing this. And then you could use your breath to pull back in from the shield staff, and then run that energy up and put it wherever you want it. You can put it into thought breaks. If you're trying to manifest something and using visualization, you can bring that second breath of energy up and release it into the thought break. You can use it for healing. If there's an area of the body that needs to be healed, you set the thought of healing here. You don't just send the energy because it will amplify the condition. You give it a thought and a directive, which is the intent to heal, and you bring the energy up and release it there. So it's simply up to the 14th, down to earth core, which is the 13th chakra. Stop. Then inhale to the earth core. Expand out to the shield. Then inhale energy from the shield. Stop. Exhale. And pull the energy back up and put it where you want. Okay? Okay, are you ready to do the blue flame? Yeah, that's you want your energy up from the shields. Yeah. Yeah. Up breath, down breath, up. Stand out to the shield. Pull back in. Stop. Pull. And as you feel, get the hang of it when you play with it, we're just taking it naturally. And then operate in a natural we'll start to bring it on. We're going to start to work that way. More to do. Ask the guardian to help you to make this connection. You're doing it with love in your heart because you're actually there. But people are really small. So it will be better and you will be helped to make the connection. And then it becomes automatic after a while. Okay, copy there's the lights and not supposed to be in total darkness. There we go. Okay, one more.
The sign is called a being a spiral, a double spiral, a ladder. How does that correlate? Or
okay, well, the double helix would be one strand. The ladders in between would be levels they haven't even gotten into analyzing yet, the corresponding chromosome makeup and all sorts of things like that. What they want us to understand, first of all, is that there are 12 strands that are most of them dormant in humans right now. And strands are double helix strands. One is electrical, primary electrical, one is primary magnetic. That's where you get a double helix. The strand that scientists have identified is part of the second and part of the third dimensional strand. They can only identify it with externalized experimentation and instrumentation what is within the perceptual range, the frequency range of that instrumentation. So they are unable to see the stacking of the higher dimensional spirals even when they are activated. But they will be able to, once those activations start to build up in the system, begin to see strange things like particles of light appearing in the brain on brain scans, and we'll be able to see strange chromosomal constructions happening that appear not to be human, like they're doing with the indigo children. They're having, their DNA looks different than ours. And they're human, they're more human. They're more evolved human. So the correspondence is the double helix fits very much into the strand configuration that the guardians are talking about. We just haven't got into analyzing the little ladders. And there are more strand levels that our scientists haven't been able to see because they don't have multidimensional ability right now. But the human instrument does. Humans can see that. We are the best mechanical instrument for seeing multidimensional frequency that exists on the planet. Okay? But now I'm going to go into the blue flame meditation. I'm going to sit down for this so I can relax too, because it always gets kind of neat if I can get into the really relaxed vibration that kind of goes out into the room and helps everybody kind of go together into other spaces. Okay, just close your eyes and breathe deeply and slowly, not forced. Just bring your consciousness this down a little bit and the focus it's at right now. It's a little bit of a more relaxed state. Now in your mind's eye, think of a point of blue light and watch that blue light in your mind turn into a small standing wave pattern, a small blue flame. Holding the image of the small blue flame in mind, move it directly into the center of your brain, where it can connect with the main vertical current that runs up and down through your body. Now on an exhale breath, push the blue flame gently downward through the main vertical current of the body. Down and out of the body, the base chakra, and through the 12th chakra below the feet. And way down into the earth. In moving this small flame of blue down into the earth, you are sending in a fifth dimensional access code that will allow you to enter the inner rooms of the halls of Amente. Now, follow with your consciousness the small blue flame down deep into the earth, down into the earth's core. Imagine before you a series of doorways that are locked. And now imagine yourself manifesting a version of yourself down in front of these doorways with the small blue flame in your hand. The small blue flame is your key to entry into the inner rooms of the Mente that lead to harmonic universe 2 and beyond. Holding the flame in your hand as if it were a candle, observe as the doors unlock and release, and then move through. You will find that there is one door, and a few steps across the small hallway, there is another, and another. There is a layer of 4 doors with small hallways between, before you can get to a space where you can see anything but the door in front of you. The blue flame will serve as a key for all of these doors. In this visualization, the doors represent frequency seals within your morphogenetic field and within your DNA that keep your consciousness and your neurological structure locked out of certain places. So in this exercise, we are going beyond those places in order to expand the body's ability to hold higher frequency experience. You have just passed the last door, and it closes behind you. And now you notice that you are standing in a room that is lit by a pale blue light. There's a comfortable light, and it seems soothing. Over to the right, you will now notice there's a cavern. A cavern that spirals downward and then seemingly upward, and it goes to somewhere that you cannot see. You will imagine yourself now either walking or floating through this cavern. There's like an underground cave, a cavern in the cave spiraling to another location. And as you walk or glide through this tunnel, you will notice a tone, a sound, coming out of the small blue spark of flame in your hand. It is as if the flame is singing. The flame in your hand is feeling the presence of its creator, the blue flame of the Mente. And as you draw nearer to the blue flame of the Mente, you will notice that the small flame in your hand begins to emit several melodic tones that are quite soothing to the body. At the end of the tunnel that we are walking through, you will see an area a bright white light. When you enter it, it looks like a cavern of crystal, of clear quartz crystal. The crystal is not actually quartz as we know it. It is something called Syrian selenite crystal, and it is originally from the planet of Sirius B. This is the composition of the halls of Amentet. When you are in fifth dimensional consciousness, you may begin to perceive the halls of Amentet as physical manifest structures for which a physical body will pass. But for now, the consciousness must enter first. In the crystal room, you will notice a massive tower of energy, pale whitish gold energy, that serve as a pillar that runs from the center of this room all the way up through very, very high climbing crystal ceilings. You cannot see the end of this pillar. But within the pillar, there is a living blue flame. It is massive in size and heat. The heat of the blue flame is actually so hot that it feels cold, or cool to the touch. Now that you have found the passageway to the blue flame, imagine the image of the blue flame within the selenite crystal center room. Imagine that image moving into your heart chakra. And see it moving in until it becomes a reality picture there. Now the blue flame is internalized within you, and you will access it through the bioenergetic systems organic to you. Continue to imagine yourself walking in the room of the selenite crystal, observing from all angles the tower of blue flame, surrounded by a protective barrier of pale reddish gold. You will ask now, each as an individual, telepathically ask the flame, may I enter? And observe the response you will get. If it is safe for you to enter, permission will be granted. But if there are distortions within the gene codes or in the morphogenetic field that would harm you in entering, you will be asked to remain outside until those distortions are cleared. The blue flame, the entity of the blue flame, the consciousness that it embodies, will help you and assist you with these healings if you ask for such assistance. For those of you who find you cannot move into the blue flame because you are stopped by the protective barrier of energy, do not feel badly. Just simply sit and enjoy the feeling of the selenite crystal room. Here, you will meet with the Rishi, who will come in, one assigned to each of you, who come in and begin communicating with you. If you can remember this communication, that is good, but if you can't, it simply implies that the DNA has not been activated to allow those communications to open. For those of you who can enter the blue flame this time, imagine yourself moving toward the pillar and put your hand out and touch it. Sometimes, if you mimic with your physical body the gesture that you're making with your little body in the meditation, the effects are much stronger because it is linking the physical with the fourth dimensional astral level of identity. Touch the flame, the encasement on the flame, and feel the vibration. Feel it tickle against your palms. And then ask telepathically, as the entity of the flame, to open its shield. And upon asking, it will. Suddenly you will see that the white gold pillar of light protecting the blue flame pulls upward, and all that is left standing is a large blue flame of light, a standing wave pattern. You can feel the higher vibration of this energy as you near it. And now it is time to take a step and walk in. As you walk in to the center of the blue flame, you will enter your initiation into anchoring the archetype identity. For the entity of the blue flame is indeed that identity. You at the fifth dimensional level. Once you have entered the blue flame, sit down in your little body. Sit down and feel the energies that are swirling around you. Become aware of your breath. And on the inhale, draw in blue energy from the blue flame. And on the exhale, project out white energy with the breath. Continue breathing in this manner for several moments until you can begin to feel a charge build up in your energy fields. For if you breathe the energy of the blue flame, before too long, you will sense the presence of that energy moving through you. Now, while you are in the blue flame, think for a moment, if you could have unlimited power, unlimited love, unlimited joy, and there was one situation right now in your life that you would think of, that you would apply this to, hold that situation in mind for a moment, and you would then direct the healing powers of the blue flame into the area of your life in which those changes would be desired. With your breath, breathe in the electrical frequency of the blue flame. At a certain point with these breaths, you will find yourself becoming sleepy or dizzy. But right before this, you will start to feel a separating sensation between you and the earth. Your consciousness is beginning to go into projection through the blue flame energies. The blue flame is a sanctuary that each human is entitled to enter because it is part of their natural heritage. Feel the reality of yourself within a blue flame. And do this frequently during your days until you can really feel the feeling of that blue flame within your little body, surrounding your little body in the halls of the Mente. When we bring the small body back into the big body, we're going to bring a replica of the blue flame surrounding it with us. And we're going to pull that replica upward and allow the blue flame to expand outside around us as if our physical body is sitting within the blue flame. We're going to simply do this with the breath. Imagine your small self stationed within the blue flame at the center of its core in the halls of the Mente. On the inhale, imagine the whole image of flame and person within it being moved upward. Breathe gently, but on each exhale, push out the energies of lower vibration that might exist within your body. As you move your breath past an area of your body, of the main vertebral current, sense which areas are vibrating lower, because you can sense this. And those that are vibrating more, use your exhale to push them out and downward, where they will be enveloped in the energies of the fifth dimensional blue flame. Through the blue flame, you can be taken on many journeys to many places. But the beginning point is being able to develop the sense of having the blue flame sitting around you. So for now, we'll simply breathe and bring the image of you in the middle of the blue flame upward and upward. until you can feel the shape of the blue flame surrounding your body. You are now the center as a physical being. You are the center of the blue flame. Try to sense the feeling of this beautiful flame surrounding your body. Try to feel its energy. Thank its consciousness for allowing you to be in communion with the blue flame. And ask if there's anything that you can do for the blue flame. There usually is not, but the asking is appreciated. And to conclude this meditation, sense as strongly as you can the energies of the blue flame surrounding you in the body as you sit upon the chair. Try to connect with the sense of its consciousness, where it is conscious. And then send the thought out to the universe. I request communion with the guardians of the 12 pillars and the speakers of the blue flame. Ask permission to use the powers and the wisdom of the blue flame. For if you ask, the permission will be granted. If you can come to view the blue flame as an identity as well as an energy force, for it is your higher identity for a portion of it, you will be able to go into the space of the blue flame and find answers, and find healing, and find experiences, and find meetings with Rishi. While you are sitting in the middle of the blue flame, in the room, and around your body, sense now a field of energy coming in toward you from behind. You can feel it as pressure on your back a little bit, and a little bit of a tingling and warm sensation. You are feeling the presence of a Rishi coming, and through the blue flame that you now sit within, the Rishi is able to link with your bioenergetic field, so a communion can be developed. Try to bring the presence of that Rishi closer, moving the Rishi into the center of the blue flame with you. Inhale gently, and then on the exhale, gently push the image of the blue flame around you, all the way back down into Earth's core. It'll be there for the next time you want to use it. And now, feel the energy behind you, the energy that is moving into your field, that is the energy of the Rishi. Ask the Rishi its name. Eventually it will give you one. Feel the presence of the Rishi around you as you sit on a chair in this room. Imagine a tall being standing over you and protecting you, as if you were inside him as an energy field. Ask the Rishi to help you awaken. And ask the Rishi to guide you in understanding the secrets of the blue flame. Bring your consciousness back into the room. And as you open your eyes, try to keep within your mind an image of beautiful blue flames surrounding you as you walk through your days, as you go to sleep at night. Try to create that flame as a very real phenomenon, for it is a phenomenon in energy. Through the creation of the images of the blue flame, in your Nada body down here, you will rapidly accelerate the process of integrating your soul matrix identical number 2. If you would like protection at night when you go to sleep, and more clarity in your dreams, put yourself in your blue flame as you first vehicle of life. Let it be a transition phase for you before you learn to go into Merkaba. And you can use it for healing yourself and others. If you see someone who is troubled or ill, create a strong mental image of the blue flame surrounding them, moving through their cells and healing their body. And if it is you, do the same for yourself. With these visualizations, you can move the frequencies of the blue flame through your cells to the point where you feel them buzzing and vibrating. What is happening is the alignment is taking place between the Nada Gula and the Alpha Gula bodies. You can open your eyes now. And try to recall if you felt any sensations during the blue flame meditation. And if you happen to wake up tonight or any night in the next 3 days, startled with energy vibrating through you that was so strong that it woke you up, and it looks like blue in color, don't let it scare you too much. It's the beginning of a blue wave infusion, which is the infusion of informational frequency into your body. And that is what happens when the soul identity, the alpha of the body, begins to merge with you here. When you visualize and work with the blue flame, you are rapidly assisting that process because you are creating that frequency pattern here. So those frequencies can plug into it. So I hope you enjoyed a little journey with the blue flame. And did anybody feel anything with that? Was anybody aware of the sensations of the energy running? Okay, quite a few people. That's good. If you work with that, you can surprise yourself with the feeling of electric energy running through you, and it can be used for healing. There's a lot of other purposes. There's no out there.
Oh, it's still going. Good.
That's Akshita, my angel. Actually, she wasn't an angel. She was Well, part of joining the council of life is going to go into these states of what is mental bilocation. When we do these meditations, you're mentally bilocated. Your body's here, part of your mind's here, the rest of your mind's gone. When you live with the patient, you are asking to join the communities of light and awareness that are out there. Now, there will be next year, well, not too long from now, probably after January 2000, I'm told that I'm going to be asked to offer Melchizedek ordinations to anyone who is interested in the Melchizedek program. Melchizedek is also referred to as a priesthood or a brotherhood, but it is much more than that, for it is not male and gender based. It is a cloister family that works to serve the highest evolution of all. Now, the Melchizedek ordinations that are coming up for next year are a little different from the initiations. Initiations in Melchizedek, you are given the codes transmitted from a person who has the 12-strand codes. They are put into your epigenetic. So you have the imprints for them. So as your natural strands activate, they will have something to activate. If you were born without strand 5 and it is not transmitted to you, you will not have strand 5 and you will not be able to fully ground your archetypes. So in the Melchizedek initiations, you are given the imprint. And what you choose to do with that is completely up to you and your higher identity. Now, with the ordinations, it's a little bit different. In the ordinations, you decide that the spiritual path, as it reveals itself through you, not as some external source dictates to you, but the spiritual path of God as it relates to you personally inside has become significant enough to you to make a commitment. And the commitment comes in because to become an ordained Melchizedek minister, you have to bond with the Rishi, because Melchizedek ordained ministers are basically embodied oversouls. And if you're not at that level yet, you would need a Rishi to assist in holding that field for you. What Melchizedek ordination allows you is, for one, higher access to information and the ability to open, say, channeling skills and things without worrying about getting interference coming in on different levels. So it's a safety device. But it's also something that allows you to become a transmitter. You can give other people Melchizedek initiations and transmit to them the codes of the silicate matrix, because you will be given the codes of the silicate matrix through the Rishi. It also makes for a very intimate partnership where with the Rishi, you find that once the communication lines are open, you're never alone. I mean, they'll pretend they're not there if you want them to go away, but you know, they are there and they will work with you. The only difference with the initiation and the ordination is that once you are ordained and you agree to accept all of the frequencies and advantages those frequencies will bring of having a Rishi bound into your field, the human body can't tolerate having it ripped back off. So if you decide, I don't want to do this anymore, ignore it, fine. But don't make a fuss about it. Just let the Rishi be there, because they can't separate you. It will cause harm to your body. So that's why it's a step that requires, do I really want to do this? This isn't just a game. Because you will get so much energy built up in your field from that Rishi, that if that Rishi then leaves your field, you'll be worse than an indigo child with all the energy bouncing around and nowhere to go. And that's why they want that pointed out before the ordination. So it's something that we're going into next year. And I mean, I've done it. I did it a long time ago, and it's been a wonderful relationship. This is why I'm able to, I'm a Melchizedek consummate at this point, which is a couple levels above the ordained minister. And I don't regret my participation at all, but it's a personal thing. So that's some of the things we're going into. There's one more thing that I would like to talk about before we run out of time, and that's something called Transcendence Day. Okay? Now, we talked a little bit about Giza opening, the fourth vortex opening on January 1st of 2000. That is when that interdimensional resonant tone strikes between the Earth and the stellar bridge that allows for the opening to occur. It's a very sensitive time for the Earth's shields, and there are certain attempts of Illuminati to sabotage these shields at this time to make it so the stellar bridge can't ground, which at this point would have disastrous effects, because it is going to try to ground. It won't go away now. And we have been asked to create a group of people who cared enough to come together and send certain sound tones into the Earth's shields during that time. Phil and I are thinking about creating some kind of also a little protective thing there as the calendar changes over to the year 2000. We're hoping to be able to create a little, like maybe a retreat experience or something, where people can go into a shelter in a safe environment, someplace nice, hopefully not in the city, because just in case anything weird happens with Y2K, I don't think it will, but just in case, being in the city is the last place I want to be, because it would get weird because people get stressed out, and there's lots more people to throw energy around everywhere. So I don't know if anybody would be interested, but we are thinking of putting together a program. It could be anywhere from 2 to 4 days at some type of retreat center, where we would do some heavy-duty grid work and some tones. We would use something called the Uriya Kulnare, which is the Song of Orions. It's very specific tones that, you want to do it? I don't know, do we have time left to do it?
Yes.
Okay, I think it's in your packages. I think I put a copy of it in there.
Like I said, if you didn't get a package, please sign the list outside.
Yeah.
Has the list out there.
Yeah, last
And I'll
page.
get it out to you right away.
A couple of the other things that we would cover in this Transcendence Day experience. There's a lot of information that's been given to me on a lot of subjects, from the sublime to the ridiculous. Some of them are very practical. There are things from the origins of Illuminati, who they are, where they came from, what that means to us, to ancient temples and practices of sacred sites. I mean, they've given me information on everything. There are ways of restoring the sacred to every aspect of our lives. There once was a time when we walked Tara in a state of grace, where we thought was prayer, because the reverence was something we lived. That was when we were Christ-conscious beings. We had bodies, but we had fully connected to our avatar of identity. Oh, yeah, we have that overhead. No, that was an exercise time. Anyway, this is a sound tone. There's actually 3 parts to this song, and we've only been doing the one part with groups just to get them used to it. But this is the song that they would like, the tones that they would like sent into Earth Shields when the transition occurs for Transcendence Day. And I believe it starts at midnight, where the clock changes to the year 2000 and goes to about noon of that day. And they asked by 2000 for the groups to begin their merging phase and activation phase. The conditions will be right for that to happen. The vulnerability point seems to be between January and May of 2000, and that's an opening that the Illuminati forces want to use. So we're being asked to help counteract that. So also, once we get into this, he's writing it down here. That's a lot to write about.
We have 3 minutes before they're going to throw us out of here.
I'm saying real fast already. Actually, they used to start it slow and build it fast, and faster and faster it got. These incredible standing wave patterns would start to generate in the air. Okay, that's probably going to be hard to read from back there.
It's chart 19 in the coping skills handout.
Yeah. It's also the last one in the research tonight that they can't know. I'll read the tones to you once quickly, so you can, those who don't have the packets can hear them. The tones are Om, E, Da, E, Patum, A, and that's done twice. Then Patum, A, E, D, Ta, E, Puna, and then back to Om, E, Da, E, Patum, A. This is another language, if you haven't noticed. This was part of the languages, the ancient languages of Tara, part of the angelic languages. And it's the tones that are important. It may be easier if I just sing it. And those of you who have the papers, please try to sing it with me. And then those who don't have the papers will hear enough of it where you can do it. We can do maybe do 2 rounds before they throw us out of here. Okay. Start with. This is the rhythm that it was taught to me. So see if we can keep up with it. We'll be all over the place, but that's okay. Hang on.
That's gonna be nice.